Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is a little bit after 2:30 p.m. here in Boulder, Colorado, and today I am with pro marathoner Sydney Gidabuday. Sydney, how does it feel to have like pro marathoner now attached to your name?
It feels good, and I think it was something that I was starting to like try and practice with in my head before the marathon actually happened, you know, during the build, and it didn't really sink in until afterwards because, you know, the marathon, while it, you know, we did a lot of training for it, it felt like nothing I'd ever done, and so, yeah.
I mean, I'm excited to be able to talk to you. You're a Boulder resident now.
Yeah.
You've been for a few years now?
Yeah, almost 4 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was excited to be able to talk to you because I know I've been following your progress, and I know you've been kind of working towards a marathon, and we finally got to see you run one.
Yeah.
Just now, like 10 days ago, 9 days ago, something like that?
Yeah, just about, yeah.
Okay. We'll get into the race recap soon, but how are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I feel good right now. You know, I think I have thoughts about the race and what could happen next. I'm not sure what, but it's a lot of excitement. You know, you get some of the hindsight of like what could have gone better in the race, what could have gone, you know, how the day could have been. But you know, you kind of have to like work through that a little bit. But overall, very good and very happy. Yeah.
And are you the type that's gonna, well, I guess since this is your first, you don't know which type of recovery you normally like to do, but tell me what you are doing now. Is it like no running, a little bit of running? What's your approach to the recovery?
Yeah, so I took, the race was on a Sunday, so I took Monday and Tuesday off. And then Wednesday I went for a 30-minute just easy jog. And then from there I went a day on, day off for the rest of last week. And then now I've been running every day since Sunday, and so it's been good. I think, you know, I'm sure some of it has to do with how you feel about the race day. You know, I'm a little bit eager to get back to running, and so that plays a part into it. And but for right now, yeah, it's been easy, nothing too hard, no strides, no workouts, nothing like that.
All right.
And so, but yeah, it's been feeling good to just run and go do what I want, you know. It's been my coach has just put recovery as you feel, and so it's super unstructured and whatever I feel like.
Nice. So you got a lot more free time on your hands now.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about the race itself.
Yeah.
We didn't get to see a lot of it in the United States. So give us the breakdown, a race recap, whatever makes sense to you, like first 5K, first 10K, like however you want to talk about it.
Yeah, of course. Well, so we went into the race hoping for something between 2:10 and 2:12. Okay. But you know, once we got to Ottawa, we realized that the course was going to be a little bit hillier than we expected, and the weather was going to be a little bit warmer than expected as well. And so we kind of had that thought in mind. And once the gun went off, I truly fell into some of the common mistakes of first-time marathoners. You know, the first 5K was just a little bit off, not incredibly off, but you know, being a track runner or having the background of shorter distances, I felt a little antsy, and so we started to make a push from 5K in and caught the next pace group, and that was good. But you know, the next pace group had intentions of running a little quicker than us, and so I stuck with them for till about half marathon, and then I was just off of them until 25K or so, and then from there it started to get a little tough.
Okay. Well, before we get into that though, you keep saying we, like you and your coach were up there, but you also had, I think, a couple of your running teammates that were up there with you? Yeah.
So at 5K and even 10K, it was me, Parker Stinson, and Aiden Reed that were together. And then from 10K to half marathon, I was a little bit overambitious, and I separated myself with a couple of Japanese runners and our pacer.
So you have Parker Stinson on your team, and you're running next to him, and you're like, I think I'm just gonna go right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure I got that part right.
Yeah, I think I got a bit of like tunnel vision where I really focused on the pacer, and I didn't really see the other runners that were around me, whether it was my teammates or other runners.
Was there a plan for you guys to kind of run together, work together, or did you guys have different kind of time goals?
Yeah, it was definitely a run together, work together for halfway to 30K, and then from there, you know, however the race goes. But you know, it's in the moment. You know, I think I was too ambitious, and I let my emotions get in the way. Okay. Was there any conversation about that? Were you guys chatting, or you were just like, I'm feeling it, these guys are going, I'm gonna go with them? Yeah, I think it was just more feeling in the moment, you know. I think it was like, you know, I guess, you know, in hindsight, I'd like to think that there were some like real conscious decisions on it, but I truly felt like, I wanted to be with the pacer. I felt like that was the front of my race. Say there are a couple other runners like well ahead, but I was like, I want to be at the front of my race, and so I just put myself there, and I ended up being a little bit isolated from my teammates. And so then you stuck with that other group that you were with past the halfway point. How are you feeling at the half? At the half, it was good. I kept telling myself like, you know, I can make a great day out of myself. Like, it started to hurt a little bit, but it wasn't. It felt like I was like, I can hang tough for the next hour, you know. And I got the halfway, and I was at 64:32, I think, was the official split. And you know, I told myself, you know, 209. Like I can run 209. Like I might slow down, but I was on 209.0 pace, and so I was like, I could still hang on. I was trying to pump myself up, but again, I truly didn't know what to expect, and you know, later realized that I was hurting a little too much for the marathon. What were you doing bottle-wise for your nutrition or gels along the way? Yeah, it was just Morton every 5-ish K, depending on, you know, what the course is like. We had to go early for one of them because there was a bridge, but it was just Morton and caffeine, and then I think we had 2 bottles of Noon. I want to say it was bottles like 15K and maybe 30K. So, and then the other 6 bottles were Morton and caffeine sometimes. Any problems getting those down? No. I was actually surprised with myself. I'd heard about like sometimes like fueling being like a gut bomb, and but yeah, I felt like in training it kind of got uncomfortable, but in the marathon I felt like I was actually using everything that I was taking in, and so you know, it felt like I didn't have any like GI issues or, you know, full bladder issues or anything like that. All right, so then like from like 25 to 30K, you're still kind of like on pace. I saw your Instagram post saying you were at like on 2:10:50 pace? Yeah, 2:10, yeah, about. Yeah. Now, is this something that you're looking back at, just like a weird side question, like you're looking back at like on your splits and figuring that out, I'm still on 2:10:50 pace, or is this math you're just doing on the fly in your head? No, I think in the moment, I mean, from 25 to 30K, I was thinking, you know, got to salvage the race. I could still run 2:11, 2:12. Like, I didn't have the idea of 2:10, and I was more surprised once I found out the split afterwards. And so, like, I still had intentions of saving the race as much as I could, but yeah, I truly was surprised by how fast I was still going. You know? Yeah. Tell me about now the last 10K. Yeah, the last 10K, that's, you know, I think that's just the story of the marathon. I truly felt it all. I don't know how to really describe my last 10K, because it wasn't like I slowed down by a minute per mile. You know, some people have, you know, like the full-on bonk. To me, I think it was just a mixture of like overheating. I mean, definitely going out a little too quick, but I still had some energy in my legs because I went from running 5-minute pace roughly to 5:30 pace. And so it wasn't the full-on bonk where... Yeah, I mean, you're not blowing up. Yeah, it wasn't a blow up. It wasn't like a death march, but it was, you know, 30 seconds off of what I would have liked, and that added up. But I was super thankful to be able to hang on in the heat and the in just the way that I ran the first 3/4 of the race. But yeah, I made it home. It burned a lot. It was probably the most pain I've been in from running for that long, for 30, 35 minutes. And but it was still a very fulfilling experience. Like I passed my coach at about, I think it was about 2.5 miles to go. And there was another runner maybe 15, 20 seconds ahead of me. And, he was trying to, he told me I could get him because we were both slowing down. But I just smiled at him knowing that it wasn't going to happen. But I
appreciate the vote of confidence, Coach.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciated it, but I was like, it's just not going to happen. And but it was like such a feeling of happy to be there, because it's just nice to do something new and get the full experience, even though it was a uncomfortable experience. It was an experience I was going to get at some point or another in my marathon career. Immediately
after, what are you doing in terms of recovery, celebration, commiseration? What's happening in those first couple hours for you?
Yeah. So immediately after, crossed the line, and Parker Stinson was 50 seconds ahead of me, and so obviously catching up with him and our coach Richie, and that was fun. It was kind of it was like the start of the celebration of the marathon being over. We weren't quite yet thinking about our times in relation to the day or in relation to our goals or whatever. It was just more of we just finished, and that deserves some appreciation.
So you finished the race 50 seconds behind Parker. Parker was at 2:13. You came in at 2:14.
Yeah.
That qualifies you for the trials. That's something that you've got on your calendar now.
Yeah.
What are you going to be doing between now and then to get ready for the trials?
Yeah. Definitely. I think that my personal goal is to just run as much as I can while staying healthy. And second would be to find a half marathon or a full marathon. And the full marathon, it will be dependent on whether we trust Orlando to be fast enough to run under that 2:11:30 mark. That's kind of, that's needed for Americans especially. And so, I think I don't have any, if it's for the half, I'm really eyeing Valencia half marathon. I was signed up last year, but I just couldn't make it happen just because of fitness issues and just kind of life in general, and so I opted out of that last year, and so I'd love another chance at that, whether it's this year or another year. And if it's a full, I'm totally not sure. I think we'd make that decision sometime in the summer or in the next couple of months. But I think that there are only a limited amount of marathons in the fall that would fit into the timeline where I could do that and the trials, right?
Sure.
So yeah, it's kind of all up in the air currently, and but yeah, I'd be happy to do either one.
Okay. And then you had mentioned earlier that you have now had some time to put some thoughts together on how that first marathon went for you.
Yeah.
What tweaks are you planning on making, or have you had a chance to sit down with your coach and talk about that yet, to get you to that next fall marathon or that half marathon, to get you in the right spot that you want to be in for the trials?
Yeah. I think one thing is just on race day, it's definitely not going out too fast, and also paying attention to what the day is like. I think that in the past, again, with shorter races, if it's a hot day, you run for the most part just as hard as you would on a cool day or better conditioned day. But for a marathon, it's it creeps up on you, and you think you're above it, but it can still bite you. So on race day, that adjustment, and then in terms of the build, I'd like to be able to just get more volume and be as consistent as possible. The start of my last build was a little bit rockier. I dropped out of quite a few workouts in the first 6 weeks, and it made it hard for me to get that traction and get the confidence, that I was going to be a good marathoner. And so yeah, next time, starting off healthy and starting off in the right mindset will help me, hit those early workouts. Not that I have to hit them out of the park, but I think just finishing those early workouts does a lot.
But is there going to be any tweaking in terms of like the strategy, the approach, or is it just like we need to make sure we're getting like the solid build in and execute the build well?
Yeah.
Or do you have to rebuild the build?
Yeah, no. I think that because the build was set up well, and I truly believe that it was set up well, and so, I wouldn't see any reason to change the structure of it. I think it's just for the next one, hopefully hit things a little bit more dead on, and I think, that alone will help me achieve much more in the next build. Yeah.
Great. Let's finish it up with a little bit of shoe talk. So you're in kind of like easy, unstructured kind of training, or just easy running right now. What are the shoes in your rotation that you're reaching for as you go on a lot of these easy runs, getting ready to start getting ready for the next marathon?
Yeah. I'd say my favorite Altra shoe that is like for daily training is the Paradigm. But recently, I don't know if you noticed, but the Torrent 7 was released, and I got that just before I left for Ottawa, and so I saved it for after I got back, and it's been good. It's been a nice shoe to use, and like I hadn't worn the Torrent before, actually, surprisingly, and so it's been a good shoe. It's like a good companion to the Paradigm because it's a similar kind of shoe, a more cushioned shoe. It's just the Paradigm is, to me, the top of the line cushion. It's the softest to me, and just like most versatile for how big it is, and so I like that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, thanks so much for spending some time with me out here on Pearl Street in Boulder.
Yeah.
We look forward to cheering you on
in
that next marathon.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right.